Okay guys, you can stop hounding me now. I am finally updating this video. As of June 2023, all of these modules work with Foundry version 10. I know that they're working on a version 11 right now. I cannot guarantee that these will continue to work, but I also have some modules that will help you figure that out in this list. These are all modules for D&D 5e, however, some of them do work with Pathfinder, and if I know of a Pathfinder equivalent, I'm going to put that in here, but I am pretty new to Pathfinder myself. I'm also open to hearing anybody's opinions on modules that are good for Pathfinder, and if we're super interested, let me know in the comments so that I can create a video just on Pathfinder modules, and I'll test out some for you guys so you know what works and what doesn't. So we're going to separate this into 3 sections. The first section is going to be functional modules. Functional. What did I say? Functional? That's not a word. Shut up. Yeah, okay. The first section is going to be functional modules. The second is going to be cosmetic or more flashy modules. And then the last category is everything else because I don't know where it fits in the other 2 categories. So here are some of my faves. First we have MidiQOL. So do you remember better roles for D&D 5e? Well, of course, right after I made a whole video about modules, they stopped supporting that one. This module is pretty much the replacement for that, but it also does a lot more. This module will auto-roll attacks and damage for you. It can auto-roll or prompt you to roll things like saving throws, and it can even auto-apply damage to specific tokens that you have targeted or mark things such as concentration on certain spells. If you're running Pathfinder, I do know that there is an equivalent because MidiQOL does not work with Pathfinder. So you will need Pathfinder Workbench, which pretty much does a lot of the same things. Another one is Monk's Token Bar. So a lot of Monk's modules are pretty essential if you ask me.
Monk's Token Bar adds a quick bar at the bottom of your screen that includes your players' AC as well as their passive perception. Plus, you can do things like make contested rolls and apply experience. The contested rolls are super nice because it even adds that into the chat. Next, we have Token Action HUD.
This adds a little bar at the top left, which I believe you can move around, and it will list out all of your different actions, features, etc. So you don't have to continuously open your character sheet or your monster's character sheets in order to find the actions that they can use. We've also got PopOut, which is still on the list. It's still compatible. It is important to note that PopOut only works for the web version of the Foundry system. So if you're a DM that has it downloaded to your computer, you in particular will not be able to use PopOut. I was actually told this by someone in the comments, so thank you so much for sharing that. It will still be usable by the players who are connecting to your system because they will still be using a web browser to do so. So PopOut is still useful for them even if you can't use it. This essentially adds a little button at the top of every single window that allows you to pop it out of your web browser and into a new web browser so that you can use it for multiple screens or screen splitting however you need. So you can always have your character sheet up or your journal entries up. Next we have Dice Tray. Dice Tray I find pretty much essential because while you can type /roll and whatever your dice number, this gives you more of a visual representation. You don't have to think about what to type. You can literally just click the little icon, add as many dice as you need, and then hit roll and it'll just do it for you. This next module is going to help you, especially if you plan on updating to version 11 anytime soon. This is the module compatibility checker. So this one is super nice to see which ones have not only updated but are compatible with each other if you have them turned on. So you'll be able to see green lines for anything that's good, clear, and recently updated. This one also makes the list again. It is Universal Map Importer. So obviously as a virtual tabletop user, you also probably make maps or want to import maps from other people. So all you have to do is click a button and it'll import your entire map, the walls, the lighting, and everything for you, and you don't have to worry about messing with Foundry's kind of clunky system for map making. This one is also super useful. It's called Monk's Active Tiles. Like I said, all of Monk's stuff is pretty useful. But Monk's Active Tiles has plenty of abilities, but really the only thing that I use it for is to hop between maps. So you can actually set up specific tile where if the players move their token into that tile, it will teleport them to a special location on a different map. I use this to jump between different floors, as well as being able to keep certain things hidden from other players. And then of course the D&D Beyond Importer is still on the list as well. I just find that having players create characters on D&D Beyond is way easier than trying to create a character in Foundry. I always recommend using D&D Beyond for character creation. You can do it for free, you don't have to give them any money. Then I use the D&D importer to import their characters. This is also super nice if you have one person in your group who has all of the modules on D&D Beyond. You know who you are. This one stays on the list as well. It is called Torch, and literally that's all it does. It's a torch. So you can have a little torch icon on your token. So if a player without dark vision needs to see and they say they light a torch, you can hit that button and then it'll change their lighting settings around them to fit the specs for a torch. That way they can see and you don't have to go into the settings and play around with the numbers. Next, let's talk about cosmetic modules. So this first one, once I found it, it kind of changed my whole Foundry experience. It is called Tiny UI, and it literally makes everything so much cleaner on the character sheet for both monsters and players. I highly recommend it. You do have to go into your settings and select it for each character sheet, or change the default so that it uses the Tidy UI version versus the default version. But it is just so much cleaner and easier to find everything. This next one I love so much. It is called Combat Carousels. Every time you start a combat encounter, it will put all of your tokens up at the top in a bar, and you can see visually with a picture, their name, and it kind of highlights who is next. It's much more visual than I think that list is. Plus you can still control initiative from there, and it's always kind of locked in place above. Of course, we're going to talk about Dice So Nice, which is again strictly cosmetic, but it's for all of the dice goblins like me out there who need to see those physical dice roll across the screen. And you can make them whatever colors you want. It takes me way too long to set up my dice because I play with all the different settings and try to create unique dice every single time. A module for animations, and I like this one because it kind of sets up a lot of the basic ones for you and you don't have to do anything because I'm a lazy DM. This one just adds so many cool animations, from shooting arrows to hits with mace or sword. You can also create your own custom animations. Here's everything else that isn't cosmetic or functional, but I still find super fun to have. So this one is called Token Mold. It is a great way to spice up the role-playing a little bit because it will name all of your monsters with certain adjectives. This is a lot of fun because suddenly you have, say, a sassy goblin or an angry goblin all in the same fight. So it allows the DM a chance to kind of have those role-playing adjectives given to them so they don't have to think about it, but also gives something players can kind of find humorous. Advanced drawing tools. This I use in particular for typing things out on the screen. I feel like the drawing application and the text stuff is just too clunky, and this lets you write out as much as you want. It's totally optional. You can use the drawing tools that they have already. This one gives more options for different colors, different font types, as well as different justification. So I use it in particular for my dashboard screen. So that's definitely not all the modules that you can have. That's also not all the modules that I have. These are just some of the essentials, and if you're just getting started with Foundry, I think it's good to start with a few of them and build on it instead of getting all of the modules all at once, because then you'll certainly not know which ones do what. I just want to give a quick shout out Cantrip's Canteen community member Justin, who actually ran through all of his modules for us. He had like 30 to 40 different ones, which I still think is a little overkill, but I actually pulled away a lot of really good modules like that token mold one. If you would like to join us, we have a lot of community members who are trying to do different things like run Pathfinder for people, as well as just helping each other with map making and all sorts of stuff. I'll leave a link to the Discord community down below. I find it to be a very great group of people who are really super helpful. Plus, honestly, if you're looking for a way to connect with me directly, that's probably the best way to do that, as I do check in on the server daily. If not, I don't know how you get more often than daily, but I check in often. I'm also dipping my toes into more tabletop RPGs like Pathfinder, and we'll be running a stream of that. And I actually pulled people from the community to play that game with me, so that's pretty exciting. We'll be streaming that on the Twitch channel, so if you don't know I have one of those. Get a link to that in the description as well. And until next time.